Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Wes. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another Kaiju number 8 chapter review. And yes, I know this review is coming super late since the new chapter of Kaiju drops literally tomorrow. But you know what they say, better late than never. And I've got some stuff I want to get off my chest. So without further ado, let's jump into Kaiju number 8, chapter 78. This chapter opens up with Kikoru and number 15 staring each other down again as the JDF operator Kurusu gives control over all troops deployed in the Kasumigaseki area to Kikoru for her to command. By the way, just in case some of you forgot this little side character, Kurusu is the operator that was supporting Isao Shinomiya during his confrontation with number 9. So it's pretty poetic to see him monitoring Kikoru like this. I'm sure he regrets his inability to prevent Isao's death, even though he tried his hardest to support him during that battle. This battle with Kikoru and 15 could be a way of him settling his beef with number 9, so Matsumoto has that narrative angle to play with too. So now that Kikoru has been entrusted with the lives of her fellow officers, she gives an order that a 500-meter danger zone be set up around her and Kaiju number 15, effectively locking herself in solo combat in an attempt to keep the other officers safe and out of harm's way from 15. Kikoru then commences the subjugation of number 15, and just as she readies herself to attack, 15 rebuts this with what we call a cruel irony in writing, and 15 basically throws it back in her face, like, "Oh, you say you're commencing the subjugation? Okay, that's cool. Well, how about this? I am commencing the subjugation of little Kikoru Shinomiya." The dialogue fleshes out the personality of number 15, who seems to be very playful and childlike, which isn't at all weird when you consider that all of the Kaiju that number 9 created are all newborns relative to when they were created. Something tells me though that number 15 is the particularly cruel one out of the bunch. At least that is the vibe that I'm getting. Next up, things start popping off when 15 attacks. Kikoru reacts and dodges at the last second just before she gets the top half of her head knocked off by 15's foot. And the shockwave emanating from 15's kick is strong enough to literally slice the building behind them in half. I got a chuckle out of it because it's a very shonen manga thing to do. If characters can throw attacks that can create enough air pressure to destroy mountains and buildings and split the sea, then you know you're dealing with someone whose power level is over 9,000 to say the least. Things just got real for my girl Kikoru, and 15 isn't even using her kaiju form, much less her giant form that I'm willing to bet all of these Kaiju have as a final transformation. Once Kikoru is no longer on the defensive, she begins her assault on 15 and remarks that she's scared because any single mistake during this confrontation will mean certain death, but she must press onward anyway. Kurusu reads the stats. I always find it funny that any one of the JDF officers can be like, "I'm him, bro, I swear. Don't believe me? Check the leaderboards." Anyway, all jokes aside, Kurusu makes note of Kikoru's performance metrics and notes that she's performing above the average captain level. Although us readers know that Kikoru is still below the average skill level of a captain, it's that weapon 4 is offsetting the gap in skill with overwhelming strength and speed. But still, I'm going to put some respect on her name. Kikoru's training with Shinonome and Narumi really paid off, because if this was Kikoru some 15 chapters ago, she would have been mopped up with those 6 troops last chapter, no question. So 15 goes in to place her foot on Kikoru's neck, trying to keep her pinned down so she can use the same low profile attack she used to body bag the other officers. And then we get another demonstration of what type of utility the number 4 suit possesses. In layman's terms, the suit basically has jet propulsion engines along the arms, so activating them enabled Kikoru to squeeze on out from under 15 before she got bopped. But even with her narrow escape, we see that 15 has no intention of letting up the pressure, since she doesn't even give Kikoru enough time to activate a full release of her shields, and just continues hammering away, knocking homegirl all up, down, and literally through the block itself. So there lies Kikoru, all wide-eyed and slack-jawed, shields breached, ribs smashed, lung damaged. It ain't looking too good for her, man. I knew those 5-die kaiju were nothing to mess with. But you want to know what's funny? I've been poking around forums and stuff, and even the community is saying that sending her out there was a mistake. Dang, it's gonna feel good if and when she pulls out this win. Everybody else whose comments I'd read seem to be banking on Kafka coming to save her again, but I doubt that that's where this fight is going. I'm almost 99% positive that Kikoru will ever so slightly survive this fight by a single hair of her pigtails. And that's how it should be, because I've been wanting to see the JDF get pressed like this, like they did that night when number 10 attacked Tachikawa base. So since I think Kafka's support is out of the question, I believe the only other choice support Matsumoto could go with is Reno, or the most likely scenario for her support, which are the troops that Kikoru commanded to keep their distance from the fight. But I ultimately still believe Kikoru is in this one alone. There's a reason why Matsumoto made this very clear to us readers 2 times already. There is no backup. This is it. Either you fight and survive, or you fight and die. Before this chapter is over, we see Kikoru reaching for her axe, and as she does, number 15 tells her that it's useless. Even with that little axe, you'll never place a single scratch on me. And the chapter ends with 15 going full Tetsuo as she absorbs the surrounding debris from the street into her arm, transforming it into what mimics a giant version of Kikoru's axe. Oh, this chapter was good, and I feel like it helped pick up the pace again, especially after that last chapter that was just mid. Chapter 77 was probably the only okay-ish chapter of Kaiju I've ever read. This chapter was pretty gas, so I'm gonna give chapter 78 a solid 8. We desperately needed a better show of force from some of these kaiju, and I know Kikoru is barely going to be able to turn this around next chapter, so yeah, things are about to get hectic with this manga, and something tells me that Kurusu is going to come in clutch to make up for his guilt surrounding Kikoru's father Isao. I'm sure that'll come into play at some point soon too. Anyway, if you folks enjoyed this kind of content from me, then please like the video. That will be greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing and click the bell so that you never miss an upload, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Alright, God bless. Peace.